chosen ones, empaths, and all the genuine souls out there. There is a timeline that occurs with the narcissist that is involved in your life when they realize they made a vital mistake losing you, and it slightly differs if between if you cut the narcissist off or you were discarded by the narcissist. Okay, it slightly differs. Um, I'll touch on both of them. So stick around. If let's say you cut the narcissist off, okay, they are aware of what they're losing when you cut them off, but they're very stubborn. Okay, they're very stubborn, and they'll go out of their way to prove to you that how can I put this? They'll go out of their way to prove to you, if you cut the narcissist off, they'll feel rejected, they'll get huge narcissistic injuries and stuff, but they'll feel determined to prove you wrong. And they also think that they also know that you are a good person, a decent person. All right. And this is something that often I see happening with individuals who cut the narcissist off. What I notice with individuals that cut the narcissist off, not all of them, but I've seen a pattern. The individual that cuts the narcissist off, it feels really accomplished, feels like they made the right decision when they do it. Okay, and it's not all the time, but some of them that I've spoken to, I've seen further down the line, they start to feel some sort of guilt or remorse. Okay, and this sort of ties into what happens with even if you're discarded. Okay, basically you can, if you cut the narcissist off, you can start to suffer from dumper's remorse. It could be in a couple of months, it could be a year, but you just need to be prepared for that. But the narcissist now, if you cut the narcissist off that was involved in your life, they're gonna try and do their utmost to like outpoint you, prove you wrong, make you jealous, move on quickly, all of that. Okay, and that can sometimes affect the victim of narcissistic abuse that has made the decision to cut them off. You need to understand it's a very powerful decision you've made. It's very strong of you to do what you've done in cutting them off, and you need to stand by your choice in this. Some people disagree with me when I say this, but sometimes you haven't seen the full unmasking. I know many of you have, but sometimes people that have cut the narcissist off haven't seen the full unmasking, and this is what kind of leads to feeling guilt or feeling bad or feeling sorry for them. And this is oftentimes why many individuals end up in off and on relationships with the narcissist. Okay, but let's say you were discarded by the narcissist that was involved in your life. When you're discarded by a narcissist, okay, they're ecstatic. All right, they're ecstatic. They're full of themselves. They think it's the best decision for their lives. All right. But there's something called the fade and effects bias, and let me go back to those of you that cut the narcissist off, because fade and effects bias touches on both. When you cut the narcissist off, there is something called the fade and effects bias as well. All right, or if you're discarded, there is something called the fade and effects bias, and you have to understand that if you are the dumper, okay, you feel accomplished when you cut the narcissist off. You feel like you made the right decision, but a lot of what the problems or the issues that you had with the narcissist involved in your life begin to fade, and that's why I said that you can sometimes go into remorse or dumper's remorse after a period of time. All right, The narcissist, when you cut the narcissist off, they're going to do everything in their power to try and make out and give you an impression that they're living their best life, they've moved on, they're happy, they'll go on and get married, they'll go on and have children, and they're really going to try and make you feel like you made the wrong decision in cutting them off. That's their ultimate goal and agenda, is to make you feel like you made the wrong decision in cutting them off. And you need to be aware of that. That's what you're up against. All right. Please like, share, and subscribe. But when you cut the narcissist off, they will, let's say, after their attempts with these new suppliers, they'll realize they could realize with the first new supply, or they could be even more stubborn and go to another new supply, and they'll realize maybe how long would it be? It'll be about, let's say, they have an underlying feeling because you've cut them off. They have a rejection in them. So they're conscious of this straight away, that they've lost you. But they've got a stubborn nature to try and prove you wrong and make you feel inferior. So when they start to go with these new supplies, they're going to realize pretty quickly that they've lost you. All right. And they're not going to let on the fact that they've lost you. Now, where it slightly differs if you were discarded is the narcissist. Many of you that were discarded pursue the narcissist afterwards. You chase the narcissist. You try to talk to them. You try to reason with them. You try to reconcile. You try to do all of that. And what that does is it prolongs the time of the narcissist realizing. Okay, so let's say you ended the relationship ended. You were discarded on such and such date, but you persisted. You tried to chase. You basically, what happens is it stops them hitting that realization. Okay, but if you were discarded and you don't chase, I believe, and it can differ with all individual situations, but relatively speaking, within about within a few weeks, they will start having the fade and effect bias. All right, they'll start to forget the so-called bad things you've done for their justified discard. And I'm not saying their discard was justified. In their minds, they think it's justified, and they'll start forgetting the so-called bad things to do with you. They'll have these new supplies, and within a few months, they'll be suffering from self-absorbed dumper's remorse. And what's different about you who cut the narcissist off going through dumper's remorse is you actually have a heartfelt emotion of feeling bad and stuff like that. When a narcissist discards and they have dumper's remorse, it's self-absorbed dumper's remorse. They're just feeling bad for their current situation. Okay, so if you were discarded and you didn't chase, I believe within a couple of weeks, and you've got no contact, within a couple of weeks, they're already going to be having the fade and effect bias. They're going to be forgetting, and look into the fade and effect bias. They're going to be forgetting the so-called bad things you've done, and this will lead into about a few months when they start having dumper's remorse and self-absorbed dumper's remorse. Okay, and if you cut the narcissist off, what I'm saying is they're on a warpath. All right, and this is why the relationships get worse, because you need to make sure that you are final in your decision making. When you cut a narcissist off, it has to be sincere. Okay, it's not a game. It's not pushing them away or anything like that. You need to be sincere, because the amount of off and on relationships I've heard of, and this is down to you not you directly, but those of you that are not sincere. And I understand. Please don't blame yourself if you've been in a narcissistic relationship and you've let them back in again. You've cut them off and you let them back in again. I hear of people all the time that walked away, packed their bags, walked away, then they got back together. You have to understand that the narcissist is severely affected and you become someone who they want to destroy even sooner. All right, narcissists always get to that place where they want to destroy you when they realize they can't get you back. But when you reject a narcissist, walk out on a narcissist, you can't go back to them. It's very, very dangerous. All right, so when you cut the narcissist off, they realize what they've lost. They realize what they're losing. All right, they have a conscious awareness of what they're losing suddenly. Okay, the difference with when you're discarded is they're ecstatic. Okay, with their decision of discarding you. All right, they're excited for their new supply, and they're excited about being with their new supply and all that. But where these tie in of whether you were discarded, reverse discarded, or you cut the narcissist off, it's the new supplies. That's when they get the reality check. Okay, that's when they get the reality check. And obviously, if you were discarded and you were chasing them at the same time they was with the new supply, or you were messaging them, or you were having conversations with them, trying to sort things out, or trying to meet up, or whatever like that, this is intensifying this bond with them and the new supply. Not a bond, but like it's kind of keeping them intoxicated with fuel of supply. They're intoxicated with fuel, so they don't realize that they're actually with a dusty new supply. All right, because they've still got you in the background giving them supply. Okay, so what I would say is, if you were discarded and you chased or whatever, basically just leave it 3 months time. And I'm not saying that you're going to get back together. Please do not. They ain't going to come back to you and say they're sorry. I've heard they do that to some people, but I can't promise that's going to happen for you. Being realistic now, because they're very stubborn. All right, but I believe that about 3 months post discard, they've met a new supply. They're with a new supply. They're realizing that they fucked up. Excuse my language, but they're realizing they made a mess. They're realizing they made a vital mistake in losing you. But same like the narcissist that was cut off by you, they are stubborn. They will keep trying to find better. All right. You see, they'll be with these new supplies and they're on the lookout for other new supplies. They want to upgrade. They want to upgrade. But as they progress on this path after you, regardless if you were discarded, reverse discarded, or you cut them off, they're not upgrading. All right. You need to fundamentally understand that the narcissists that were involved in your life are accustomed to a supply source that only you can provide, and no other person in the entire world, an alien, a fucking what other kind of species are there? A fucking animal, right? Like nothing can provide the supply source that you provided. All right. There's things you've done within that relationship dynamic that no one will do, that no one will ever do, and no one has ever done in their lives. All right. And you may say to yourself, Zion, but like, if no one's done this for them, why aren't they realizing? Because when you give someone an inch, they take a mile. When you give to a narcissist, they exploit. When you give them your kindness, your loyalty, your love, your devotion, they take it for granted, and they've got a stupid mindset where they think they can get better. You see, in a genuine relationship, from what I believe, okay, the two people in the relationship are going to be appreciative of each other. They're going to accept each other's faults. They're going to realize they're both a work in progress. Sorry, excuse me. They're going to realize they're both a work in progress. Okay? And they're going to grow more and more in love through time. All right? That's what's going to happen in a genuine relationship. The narcissist, when you give to a narcissist, they take it for granted. Okay, so there is a timeline, and this timeline just differs with if you chased, it prolongs. If you chased after a discard, when you discarded, it prolongs it. When you cut the narcissist off, if you carried on engaging with them and you didn't go full no contact and walk away, that gives them hope that they can get you back. That gives them ways to try and make you jealous. Things like that. Okay? For those of you that have children with them, which obviously makes it more confusing and hard, you need to make sure that you only communicate about the child. And any time they talk about, so you say you've cut them off, and you've got a child with them, anytime they try and talk about you and them or being back together or anything like that, you've got to say, I don't want to have this discussion. Speak in a statement, I don't want to have this discussion. This is not necessary to talk about. The focus should be on the children. Don't even say our focus should be on the children. Say the focus should be on the children. You see what I mean? You've got to be clever with words with these parasites. Okay? That just come to my mind, but you've got to be very... Statements go a long way with narcissists when you speak in statements and you don't ask open-ended questions. Okay, when you ask open-ended questions towards narcissists that are involved in your life, it makes you at mercy of their response, and that really is a general rule for life. Okay, but it's a very hard thing to master, to always speak in statements. Okay, it's very difficult to always speak in statements, and it's not necessary to always speak in statements. But with narcissists, just think a few times before you speak. Be very calculated in how you communicate, because their mind's moving 100 miles per hour. When you say something to them, their mind goes all over the place, and they come back with the perfect manipulation response or deviant response to keep you or gaslight you or whatever. They come back in a certain way because you're authentic. They're not authentic, so they're all over the place. Their mind's moving 100 miles per hour in how to knock you off the path, or how to throw salt on the wound or whatever. You see what I mean? So this timeline, obviously there's no exact science to this timeline, but relatively speaking, just make sure that if you've cut them off, make sure it's sincere. And I know that there'll be some people who I've spoken to, who I'm speaking to now, that have cut the narcissist off, and you're going to go back to them. All right? And I need to warn you that it is dangerous to go back to them, but you most likely still are going to go back to them. Okay? But what I've heard is sometimes when the one who cut the narcissist off goes back to the narcissist, they end up getting discarded. All right? Or the relationship gets worse. It can basically, what I believe, okay, this is a theory, I believe that there's a certain level of tolerance that you have. All right? There's a certain level of tolerance that you have, and sometimes, I don't know if it's the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, right? Sometimes it's just the way it's meant to be, that you are meant to go back to them to finally show you the real picture of them and see the full unmasking. And they do something which is, what's the word I'm looking for? Irreconcilable. I can't say it properly. Irreconcilable, okay? It's beyond reconciling. Can't say the word properly. So beyond reconciling is like, there's no making amends, right? They'll be doing something like that, and sometimes that's necessary to happen. Like a lot of you that were discarded, they've done something now where they've literally severed that tie, and that helps give you the closure that you need to persist and move forward and navigate through life. All right? sometimes this is why I know not all of you agree with me, but this is why sometimes I believe sometimes it's easier to be discarded by a narcissist. It's the most hurtful, devastating, crushing blow that brings you right down. But from that point down, from the bottom, you rise. And I just want you to embrace those of you that have cut the narcissist off. Please be sincere in your decision making. Please be conscious that you are an empath, or a chosen one, or a genuine soul, or an authentic individual, and you do have emotions, and that these parasites don't have. And it can be further down the line that you think you made a mistake. All right, so I've been a bit all over the place in this video, but I'm trying to say that these narcissists realize they made a mistake when they're with these new supplies. All right, so none of you ever need to think that they're living their best life, everything's great. And that can also happen to you. Okay, this can also happen to you, the same way a narcissist can go on with a new supply. All right, whether the relationship ended by you being discarded by the narcissist involved in your life, or you cut the narcissist off involved in your life. All right, they go on to the new supplies and they get the realization that they made a vital mistake. Okay, but you can also move on to someone new. Okay, too soon probably, and you might feel like you made a mistake, and that's what you need to be conscious of. Those of you that cut a narcissist off, say, just for example, you cut a narcissist off, you meet someone new, you think they're great, turn out to be another narcissist or another toxic individual, or you're discarded and you're vulnerable and you're hurt, and you let someone else in and it turns out to be another narcissist or a toxic individual or a deviant or whatever. You see what I mean? So when you make these decisions to cut them off, understand that you should go through a process the same way as someone who is discarded, in taking a period of time out from relationships. All right, this is how you supersede the timeline and what the narcissist falls into traps. All right, through this timeline they fall into traps, okay, with these new supplies, with rushing. All right, a lot of you, by taking time away from relationships, romantic relationships especially, you find yourself, and that's what it's all about. It's all about finding yourself again, because you've lost yourself throughout the relationship. Whether you cut the narcissist off or you're discarded, you did lose yourself through the relationship. And I don't want you to try and find yourself again through someone else. That even if you meet someone genuine and kind and pure and honest, like, if you haven't found yourself before you've met them, and you haven't like become a new version of yourself and grown and elevated, it's not really beneficial to be in a new relationship too soon. Okay, but the timeline's different for whenever you want to move forward in the new relationship. Many of you are in a place where you're not even looking for a new relationship, and I think that's the right mindset to have after a narcissistic relationship. That's the right mindset to have. All right, so just to summarize, it's if you cut the narcissist off, okay, just to summarize it again, if you cut them off, they're going to go off on their stubborn nature. They're going to try and make you jealous. They have an instant awareness that they've lost something vital, something important, and they've made a vital mistake in losing you. The way they treated you, they have a comprehension of that. They will not let you in on that mindset. Some of them might and tell you they're sorry and all this crap, but a lot of them ain't gonna do that. Okay, and they're gonna try and find better than you. They're gonna be on a mission to try and find better than you. They ain't gonna find better than you, and it's gonna intensify and get worse and worse the longer the time goes on. They're gonna have more and more realizations that they made a vital mistake losing you, and you become the one person in the world they can't have. And that's why you need to be sincere in cutting the narcissist off. For those of you that discarded and you chased Just understand that you need a period of time. You need a period of time to pass. Few weeks, no contact. Fade and effect bias is going to kick in with the narcissist. They're going to start to forget the so-called things they discarded you for. It's not going to forget, but it's going to become less important. It's not going to become as much of a reason for why they discarded you. Then that leads into a month, 2 months, 3 months, and they'll start having the self-absorbed dumper's remorse. And that dumper's remorse is based off of their new relationships with new suppliers. These dusty new suppliers not equating to the level that you used to offer. Okay, so I know I haven't given you an exact timeline, like day, minute, everything like that, but just try and embrace what I'm trying to get across in this video. All right, because obviously some of you have been discarded and some of you have cut the narcissist off, so I'm trying to harness a balance in today's video to speak to you all collectively. Okay, the new supplier is the best thing. Them, like, I made a video recently about they want you to move on fast. I can't remember what I called it now, or as I tell you. What did I call it? Anyway, but it's basically that the narcissist wants you to move on quickly. Okay, if you look for that video, it's very recently from this video. They want you to move on quickly because they know you're still in hurt and pain. Now, they don't apply this same logic to their own situation. Relationships don't end with them. They need someone, anyone, to be by their side. They cannot be alone. Narcissists cannot be alone. They need anyone. All right. And sometimes what you see as the victims of narcissistic abuse is you see them move on with the supply, and you don't see them break up, or you don't hear they've broken up, or you don't hear that the relationship's ended, and you question yourself, and you actually see them with a new supply, regardless if you discarded or you cut them off. You see them with a new supply, and it's like they're getting married, they're having children, it's long term. It may even go over the length and the duration that you was in a relationship with them. Okay, and you'll question yourself, and you'll think that maybe this new person is better than you. It's not that. It's desperation. Okay, it's desperation. They cling. Sometimes narcissists will have to cling to a new supply because they've gone through the downgrade, okay, to this new supply, and they realize that if they do make another attempt with a new supply, it's going to be exponentially even worse than this current new supply they're with. So sometimes they just settle with a dusty new supply out of pure desperation. So please embrace that, okay? So honestly, please understand this is not a video so to give you false hope of getting them back. You need them gone. All right, none of you let them back in. Okay, whether you were discarded, you cut the narcissist off, please none of you let them back in. I'm aware, I'm conscious that many of you are going to. All right, many of you will actually let them back in. And my theory behind this is sometimes it's necessary for you to go through the process till they hit that deal breaker. Okay, they're gonna do something that makes you disgusted by them, even more disgusted than you are with them currently at this current time now when you listen to this video. All right, and sometimes it's necessary that you have to go down that path for some reason. All right, and you're gonna kick yourself after. Those of you that cut them off and took them back in, or those of you that discarded and let them back in, like, you might come back to this channel or our channel further down the line. You're thinking, oh God, why did you let them back in? And you're gonna be thinking that in your mind. But sometimes it's just a process. It's just a process. The same way I talk about the healing journey is a process that you have to go through. This detachment from a narcissist is sometimes a process, and sometimes that entails being off and on again. Okay, but collectively, both of you, whether you were discarded or you cut the narcissist off, the relationship does get a lot worse. I've spoken to a lot of people that have been off and on with relationships with narcissists, and it does get worse. Okay, and especially for those of you that cut them off, they're coming back with a vengeance. They've had huge narcissistic injuries, and obviously the ones that were discarded, those of you that were discarded, the narcissists can think they can do anything to you now that you're accepting them back despite what they've done. And that's why I need all of you to stand your ground on what you stand for, and this person is not important to you. You need to understand that's the realest thing I've probably said in this video. This person is not important to you. They're not significant. Okay? And you don't need to lower your, what's the word? Like lower your value structure, or I can't think of the word. Like, you don't need to lower your expectations of what you deserve. All right? Because of some person. That, like, you're born in this world alone and you die alone. There is something in being alone. Okay, there's a power in being alone, and I don't want any of you to feel invalidated, less than, inadequate, because you are alone at this current time. All right, this alone period is so necessary for your healing journey. It's like I just said, that's the most important thing I said, but honestly, the healing journey and being alone and spending time alone is so beneficial for your soul. It's so beneficial for your mind. You reinvent yourself. And that's what you should all be heading towards. This person, this narcissist that is involved in life is not of any significance. I know you may have spent years with them, or decades, or whatever, but like, now you know what they are. You know they're a narcissist. There's nothing left to salvage from that relationship. In whether you were discarded or reverse discarded, or you cut them off, there's nothing to salvage. Okay, they're disgusting parasites, disgusting parasites. And I want you to understand, don't get into a competition with a new supply. If they've gone on with a new supply, that has to be the ultimate be end all. All right, never let them back. I've said this before in videos, but some of you resonate with what I say there, and you will never let them back into your life. And I want you to, if you have that mindset, okay, please share your experience if you like the comment, that is, because I want you to try and inspire others to have this same mindset. Okay, I want you all to have that same mindset. All right, and if you have let them back in after they've been with someone else, then there's nothing wrong with ending it now. Okay, there's nothing wrong with ending it now. Like, you don't need to wait till they do it with another person, or cheat, or monkey branch, or do something else with another person to be the reason why you cut it off, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's unnecessary emotional damage that you're incurring on yourself by letting someone back into your life that's been with someone else. All right. Not only is it risky spiritually, it's also risky health wise. Okay. It's also risky, like, morally wise. Okay. Some of you are married, and like, they say death do you part and all of that. Like, someone cheats, someone, like, you can't take them back. All right, you can't. You haven't cheated, you haven't gone behind their back, you weren't cheating with someone. Like, no, do you know what I'm saying? Don't tolerate it. Don't tolerate it. I do apologize if you was looking for a more pinpoint, like, timeline, but just embrace what I said about the timeline. Understand the differences that occur with discards, and if you cut them off, there is slight differences. But please look into fade and effect bias, dumper's remorse, and understand that everything from a narcissist is from a self-absorbed perspective. Their remorse is about themselves. They feel sorry for themselves, and that's the state that they will be in. Discarded, if you were discarded or you cut them off, they feel sorry for themselves. Yeah, this vital mistake they realize about losing you is they feel sorry about it for themselves in their current situation with the new supply. And all you're going to see if you look on their social media is glorified life, the best life ever, with the best person ever. You're going to see all that bullshit, all right? It's just plastering over the cracks, okay? They even have children to plaster over the cracks of the mess of a relationship they're in. They get married to plaster over the cracks. That's how fucking deranged they are. Alright? They just want to leave an impression on people that they're moving ahead with their life. Okay? So you should focus on moving ahead with your life. Really, authentically, truthfully, sincerely. Move ahead with your life. Alright? I'm not telling you to move on to someone new. I'm telling you to move ahead with your life and focus on your purpose, focus on your meaning, focus on healing, focus on everything like that. Focus on becoming this new version of yourself 2.0 that is naturally going to happen. And that's why I say take a period of time out. I suggest you take a year out from relationships. Alright? And focus on healing. Get to the place when they're not even on your mind. And it can take longer than a year to shake them from your mind. It can take longer than a year. I'm suggesting a year so you understand and you see the benefits within that year of how much your life changes and how much you heal, and you'll be more inspired to take that path further. Okay? So anyway, thank you for listening today. I really appreciate the support. Please book a session if you'd like to. You may donate or support to the channel if you want to. Check out the spiritual channel for more content. My podcast is now on Spotify. All links you need are in the description box below. If you would like access to over 100 exclusive videos, daily uploads and custom video requests, join my membership program at zionmembership.com. Links also in the description box below. There's a 3-day free trial and you can cancel at any time. All content is made by me with no ties to any organization or university. Your support truly keeps us going. I'll be back with another video soon. Peace.